settle back and enjoy. The world champion against the world number one, Luca Brecel, against Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final of the Riyadh Season World Masters of Snooker. It's a best-of-9 affair. They're playing for £250,000. Big crowd in this evening to see who comes out with the trophy. Brecel was impressive earlier against Mark Allen. Ronnie O'Sullivan certainly was last night against John Higgins. More of a struggle against Judd Trump. He did make a century, though. He's made 4 in the 8 frames he's won. We, of course, judge him to very high standards, but he's here. He starts favourite. Let's see how this final develops. It's going to be Luca Brecel to break. And the other question, will we see finally that 167 with the gold ball? Of course, Brecel beat O'Sullivan at the Crucible last year, quarterfinals of the World Championship. They played since in the final of the Shanghai Masters. O'Sullivan won that one 11-9. That was back in September. It all ends here, Neil.
Yes, it does, and it's a best-of-9 for a difference of 125,000. $250,000 all. That figure of 125,000 for the runner-up is probably as valuable a best-of-9 as we've seen. So many ways to look at this match in that, you know, on today's form, you'd say Luca Brecel will win. He was miles better in his semi-final against Mark Allen than Ronnie O'Sullivan was against Judd Trump. But of course, yesterday, different story. Brecel was okay, but O'Sullivan was scintillating. So it's just about what happens this evening. There's no real way of knowing who will win. But Luca is definitely playing better, as he pointed out in his interview. You know, the World Championship form is returning at long last.
3.
Yeah, he looked good this afternoon. Mark Allen made 2 centuries in that match. Brecel made 1, he won 4-2. But promising opening has not come to much. Biggest crowd of the week, as you, I guess, would expect for the final. Sort of occasion O'Sullivan usually responds to.
I don't know if you can get through to pop this. That, there's a part of the red sticking out, maybe just enough to pot it. Touch and go, I think. There you are.
1.
There's your answer. I don't think the O'Sullivan factor will be enough for him to win against Luca Brecel. I think, you know, even Judd Trump has started not to play well against Ronnie O'Sullivan, when at one point he almost had his beating for a period of time. I think if Brecel plays well, then there's every chance he will defeat O'Sullivan. I don't think he's anyone that is a great someone who fears reputations.
7.
And of course, a lot depends on how this man plays. Good cueing, well played.
Looking for his 5th title of the season. They've all been big ones, haven't they? Obviously the UK and the Masters, the Shanghai Masters, where he beat Brecel, more recently the World Grand Prix. I look back through the records, I reckon this is his 124th
15.
professional final. And he's looking for his 79th title.
16.
Well, he didn't quite stun into them as he'd usually do. The cue ball just gripped and went
23.
backwards, which is not really what you're looking for, not for position. And he's not on an easy follow-up red. I expect him to play better in this match than this semi-final. It was actually surprisingly not a classic by any stretch earlier. Tonight is a different ball game, though.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 23.
of course, Brecel left it rather late at the Crucible. He was 10-6 down going to the last session. Much longer match. In a best of 9, you're looking for a fast start.
If you haven't watched any of the script, you'll notice that the golden ball has already disappeared from the table, with the possibility of the 167, 147 plus the golden ball gone in frame 1. Didn't go for that. He just played safe from it. A few gasps, but it wasn't an intended pop. He didn't like that at all, because he hit it too thick and the cue ball doesn't make the journey back to bulk. He was up very quickly on the shot. Looking at this red to middle, blue's not in the way of the potting angle.
One.
That's a good shot though. That's a really good shot to hold for the black, as intended. Nice cannon on the blue. Now with a chance to get this first frame under his belt.
Eight. 9.
Yeah, as I said earlier, we sort of judge him to very high standards because we've seen high standards from him. We saw them last
16.
night. He might not have been at his best earlier, but he still beat
17.
Trump pretty comfortably.
Well, he kind of said that he dragged Judd down a bit. I'm not sure about that. Had Judd played better, I suspect Ronnie would. But he was waiting for Trump to do something, and it never really happened.
And you just know
24.
he'll be focused for a final. As I said, he's played so many of them.
25.
Brecel was in with an early chance. Will he get another one in this frame? You would think not.
32.
If he does win the title, O'Sullivan, he'll set a new record for most prize money won in a season. He'll go over 1.1 million. Judd Trump had held the previous record. And of course, there's some big prizes left. World Open, Tour Championship, World Championship.
Well, already with a 60-point lead, and it doesn't appear that he's done very much in this frame.
41.
But what he has done is won it now, buying a snooker when this black is dropped. The next red following it will guarantee the first frame, I feel. Going into an area where he can now extend. So one more
48.
red, and there isn't any way back for Luca Brecel.
Well,
there's enough on for O'Sullivan to make what would be a 5th century of the tournament. As I say, it's only the 9th frame he would have won in this event.
$56. 57. 64. 65.
Of course, the other thing, how quickly he plays the shots. Average shot time is always around about 16 seconds. Sees the shot and plays it very quickly. An absolute natural, always has been.
72.
Doesn't even appear to be playing quickly like some players
73.
rushing round. But when he gets to the shot, he threw it very soon afterwards. If this century happens, this is very acute red to middle if he's looking at it into the left middle.
Well, he's already playing better, you have to say, than this afternoon, which is ominous for his opponent. The ton is still on. What a start for the 7 times world champion. Is he going to add
88.
Saudi Arabia to the long list of countries where he's won big titles?
$91. $95.
Well, it's a shame the blue stays out, but it's still a great start for Ronnie O'Sullivan here in the final of the Riyadh season World Masters of Snooker. He leads Luca Brecel 1-0.
Thank you. The second frame. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Be nice to think someone at some point would be on for the golden ball maximum, but obviously it's a big match in its own right. There's another long red flies in from Brecel. We're not going to see it in this frame.
Yeah, very good long red. Good job it went in because the cue ball didn't go very far. Off comes the golden ball. Cue ball comes around nicely. This is a good chance that he's created here, so he's going to be in this final with a chance, of which he seems to have. He's got to do something at this point.
7.
I think people forget, because he not only is he world champion, he's the youngest player in the top 16, the only player below 30 years of age. It is birthday, 29th, coming up in a couple of days. But, you know, in general, the top flight of players are 30-something, 40-somethings, like this man, late 40s. Stayed down, but it was always going to drop.
$90.
Yeah, that's okay. He's got slightly awkward cueing, but the next red is quite easy.
26.
He's got to do
27.
heavy hitting, hasn't he? That's what he did in that final session against O'Sullivan at the Crucible. A remarkable spell. 7-frame spell where he just didn't miss.
I think that first it looked
34.
like he might have got stuck to the bunch, but the red to right middle appears to be on.
It's
been a quiet season for him. There's no getting away from that. So worried to win tonight. What a boost that would be. What an injection of confidence ahead of the world title defence he's got coming up in just over a month's time. And also to win a new event, a big money event as well. Let's not get away from that either.
40.
Just would be massive for him.
41.
Well, it looks as if he might be a nod on a ball here.
48.
That's a pity. I mean, it's a good contribution, but at this level, you make a mistake and it doesn't count for very many. 48 at the outset of a frame. So he's going to go up the table. Push the red on the cushion or near it.
Luca Brecel, 48.
Decent, but not frame winning. What a shot that was. That was quite an acute angle to middle, but he hit it with a lot of pace in there. The accuracy you need on that shot is quite something. It seemed to me that Luca didn't mind all that much leaving it. Kick. Keyboard definitely jumped there. Slowed it down in pace. See it again, there's a jump. Yeah, not the best contact we've seen. So I think the break's over before it really ever got going. Oh, dearie me, that's a
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 3.
that's a very slapdash safety shot from O'Sullivan. That's very much out of character. Keyboard just crashing into the reds. When there's a lot of things he could have done to avoid that.
Keyboard's just run on a little bit here. Second chance in the frame then for Brecel.
A little look sideways glance as if he wasn't on one, but I think he might just be on that. Place to run it round 2 cushions. You probably throw it a little wider. Anyway, didn't have to do that. He was clearly on it. So now, at the second attempt, he really needs to convert this to avoid any fight backs in the frame from the rocket.
Yeah, it's his birthday, as you say, in 2 days. It was a bit of an early present he was given here. The shot O'Sullivan played to set him up.
Well, again, not
16.
certainty. I think he tried to get the cue ball across further to play the red into the left middle. Tough shot.
Luca Brecel,
Played it quite
16.
cannily, though. He only wanted the red and he was not leaving anything on the shot. He's played 2 of the worst safety shots I think I've seen him play in about 10 years there. Played them both in succession. The first one really was poor. That was not a lot better, and he's absolutely gifted the frame this time. I mean, I guess the closeness of this final will make it even more interesting. There might have been a school of thought that O'Sullivan would run away with it, but I think Luca's playing a bit better than that.
Yes, just listening to him speak, I think he's feeling the best he's felt actually since the World Championship. It's not been a productive season, but he feels his form's coming back. He's enjoying himself again. And this is a big occasion. This is why you play snooker, for nights like this. We know how inspired he can get. We've seen it. Ronnie O'Sullivan has seen it firsthand.
14.
The other thing is they're two very quick players. I mentioned O'Sullivan,
15.
but Luca is not a lot slower in pace. I mean, I expect these frames to rattle along.
Just contrast his mood here with, at the Masters, Rachel Casey asked him, didn't she, before he played Jack Lazowski, are you looking forward to it? He said,
20.
not really. But thankfully, that's in the past.
20.
He is looking forward to playing now, and he's playing some good stuff here. OK, he's been set up a couple of times, but going off the back of certainly the match earlier in Mark Allen, he must fancy his chances tonight.
29. 31.
I'm just not sure he's been putting in the hard yards, which you need to do either side of Christmas. You know, he hadn't. He was enjoying everything that went with being world champion.
34.
Why shouldn't he? But I think now he's realised he's got to knuckle down, roll his sleeves up, get on with it. And now he looks a different player again.
38.
Had a lovely player to watch still.
His big hand barely touched the table there. He just hit it so quickly.
It's game on here in Riyadh. Luca Brecel levels the final. This is promising to be a mini classic tonight. It's only best of 9, but every moment is fascinating. Brecel levels up at 1 each. Best of 9. Big crowd in, and the action so far has been very interesting. O'Sullivan 95 in the first. Brecel in the end dominated the second. Shout out as well to Jan Bahas and Tatiana Wollaston, who've refereed and marked all the matches. Had to cope with the golden ball and all the rest of it. And as ever have done a very professional job. In fact, Jan Bahas, he put a picture up earlier. He was out sort of shopping and bumped into Tyson Fury. 2 heavyweights together.
Playing thick off the bunch. This time it's absolutely fine. He tends to hammer into the bunch of reds, Brecel, which can lead to problems, but that was a perfectly good shot. Well, I mean, I don't know if he'll try and pop this red and hold, put the black into the same pocket. The shot is on, but like probably to hit it with a bit more pace.
1.
Oh, he has played it. That will do it. Cue ball on the side cushion and near it. So he did play it, almost drag it in. I think for him to hold for the red, he's going to have to play it quite slowly. At least if he plays it slowly, he could block the pocket, but it doesn't drop in. He's got to drop this in. It's a lovely shot. Really good. Very missable. Also a very positive shot. Not really thinking about the golden ball yet, but of course
16.
the fact that it's still on the table suggests we can't avoid it. He's only ever made one maximum break, Luca Brecel. So it takes something to believe
17.
he could, in all the frames he's played, perform his second one here on a night like this. And then the ball that follows it, of course, which I guess I've spoken about a lot.
Yeah, that maximum was a Championship League. There was no audience and no prize money for it. This is a slightly different affair, but it's also a massive match. So, okay, he's on blacks for now.
Yes, and I think while you're playing on reds to middle, you've always got the chance
24.
to hold for the black, although he isn't quite as straight. Really, the shot is not to play on the black here, unless you're thinking that way. Play up for blue or pink, I think it's a shot.
25.
So the disappearance of the golden ball is about to take place.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, when it was announced, I think a lot of people were kind of wondering exactly, well, firstly, is it a good idea?
30.
Would it work? Where would it go? How would it work? But I think it's worked really well, because now it's gone, and now it's just a normal frame. The carrot is dangled in the background. Obviously, it's up to the players how they go about a frame.
31.
Brecel targeting the title first, clearly.
Yes, and maximums happen when they happen. I mean, I think you can't really force them. You know, if the balls go accordingly. We had one in the Championship League last week, the 200th, but they do happen sporadically. You can't really go into it thinking you're going to make one until you get quite deeply into the break. Anyway, for now, this pink, it's a question for Tatiana Wollaston to, does it go on its spot or somewhere in below?
Thank you. 37. 38. 45. 46.
More evidence that he's playing well. Don't want to put the curse on him when he's in, because he's still got work to do yet to get this frame on, but he's done the early groundwork. And that'll be okay. I think he calculated that anywhere down there, that whatever kiss he got on that
53.
red, it would be on one of them. Beginning to serve it up to O'Sullivan now. Little shaky in frame one. No one doubts his temperament and his ability to take any player down when he's playing well. I think we know that now.
59.
Didn't already.
$60.
There's no doubt that Sullivan has an intimidation factor. And we've seen a lot of players who play well in matches and then struggle against him.
I think he played on the bottom left red and has gone too far,
67.
but he's always got the red to middle to back it up. And this red will be the one that wins the frame barring snookers. But there's more to
68.
come anyway, so this is excellent from Brecel. It really is. It's good stuff.
It's what you got to do against that man. You got to take it to him.
And Ronnie likes to dictate the terms, and he's done it for over 30 years. But Brecel is capable of the very same
73.
thing.
Yeah, and we heard the great roar when he knocked that blue in at the end of the last frame. Obviously, the frame was well and truly won. You know, he's quite good at getting people on his side as well, because
74.
that's such an enjoyable way of playing.
Yeah, the break might end there. I don't know how you can not like Luca as a person, as a player. I think he's
81.
just great for the game. This next pot is going to be quite special if he can make it, but he's done more than enough.
Luca Brecel, 81. And the
Didn't last long, that frame, did it? 81 from Brecel in the blink of an eye, and the world champion hits the front. He is taking the game to Ronnie O'Sullivan. He leads 2-1. One more frame before the mid-session interval.
Thank you, frame 4. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Not much he can do with the golden ball. It's going to be off the table after this shot anyway, because he's not taking the black, but you can't play it as a, if you like, a seventh colour.
Luca Brecel, 1.
Well, more than one. Didn't want that in there.
4.
That's coming away because it's a little confusing, all of it, but
It's funny, isn't it? Because he would have been hampered by the golden ball there, but it does have to come off the table because there's no maximum on. Well, they're all going in now.
5.
well, in the end, the flute green that he didn't want didn't cause him any bother.
I tell you what, if that yellow had gone in as well, then you might as well give him the trophy.
He needs to just simmer down a tiny bit because, yes, he's playing well and the adrenaline is pumping. He's a massive game of snooker, this, but that was quite an ambitious shot, has to be said. And he has a real chance here to strike. He's got another frame. He could win this frame and take a 3-1 lead. Just not saying he's got to change his game, but not take on ridiculous shots. He's better than that. Tatiana on the spot. Pink was in play, but he just got the red first. I mean, he's not boxing, but he's kind of got O'Sullivan on the ropes a little bit, hasn't he? Just the way that he won those 2 previous frames.
Well, maybe seeing Eddie Hearn sat in the front row, he thinks it is boxing, because he's promoting the Anthony Joshua fight here at the weekend.
Oh, goodness me, that is a dreadful shot again. I mean, far be it for me to criticise O'Sullivan. I think he's the greatest of all time, but he's played 3 or 4 really diabolical safety shots by his standards. He's feeding Brecel here chances all over the place. He's so out of character. I mean, he's so dangerous when he's in good form with his long game, and you've got to find a way. Even O'Sullivan, he can play the best safety of anybody when he wants to. At the moment, he's got to find a way of stopping Brecel because he's all over him.
Well, he must certainly fancy a serious opportunity
60.
here, Brecel, this evening. But he has to focus. And as you say, keep calm as well. It's so important in this sport, not get ahead of yourself, get overexcited.
17.
Build up to the World Championship. The narrative has been sort of shifting, hasn't it? There was a time a few weeks ago where everyone was saying it's O'Sullivan or Trump. Then suddenly Ronnie got whitewashed by Selby. He came into the picture. Mark Allen's winning tournaments. Gary Wilson, Zhang Anda. If Brecel can win this one
23.
tonight, then he's very much in the picture as well.
I think it's called healthy, isn't it? Healthy competition, which players' form comes and goes. You can't just keep performing like a machine and knocking everything in.
24.
And there's too many good players around for them all to be out of form for long. I actually thought Sean Murphy played well in defeat. He might come to life for the World Championships as well. And there's the mistake.
Luca Brecel,
And Ronnie has to
24.
take full advantage. The mistake has happened. First one for a while of any real significance.
Could be a big one, couldn't it? Because he's opening reds up as well. So he's now handed O'Sullivan the opening.
1.
It's just a big visit for even someone as achieved as much as O'Sullivan. For him, this is a very important visit to the table.
Eight. Nine. Sixteen. Seventeen.
And when he was looking at the two reds close together, you can see on the left of shot there to see if either of them will pop. They might come into play. Sullivan will
24.
need at least one of them,
25.
whatever else he takes before that.
$31. 32. 38. 39.
So still the two reds where they have been for the duration of this break, and now he's looking again. Where will he the pot? Certainly something will go to the right middle. The top one might be potable to left corner, but that could be the winning or losing of this frame. For now he's playing on the other red, so it's going to be, I think, crunch time soon.
45.
They just set up close together and quite awkwardly. He might be able to nudge the cannon, but even that wouldn't guarantee position. Potting this pink, just brush into them. Yes, that's absolutely delightful. That is delightful. Left-hand red might have
52.
covered the black to that same pocket as the pink went in. That's what he just looked at.
53.
Wants to ensure he doesn't overscrew here and not be able to pop the red because of the black. Seemed unlikely that he would do that with his superb cue ball control. Red
59.
will be enough. The colour will be just a bonus. He's noticeably kind of slowed down a little bit in this break, understanding the importance of it.
Big error from that man. He was on top, wasn't he? He was playing good stuff. He missed a black, opening the reds up. Handed the opening to O'Sullivan, and he's taken it. So a fascinating final.
67.
It's going to be all square at the interval. O'Sullivan was a bit sort of muted, wasn't he, for a while, but it's come back to life here.
69.
I don't think he's missed many. He just his safety play was really poor by his very high standards.
72.
Well, it's turning into the final. I think the crowd here wanted to see. Very entertaining and very close. It's going to be a 15-minute interval, and then it'll be the fight to the finish. Brecel has found out that you cannot afford unforced errors against the greatest, because he will punish you. Sets it up nicely, doesn't it, for the second half of this final here in Riyadh. Ronnie O'Sullivan punished fully, the 94 clearance off the back of the missed black from Luca Brecel. It's been high-quality stuff, very entertaining, and at the interval, they're all square at 2-2.
Luca Brecel to break.
O'Sullivan made 95 in frame 1, Brecel dominated frame 2, made 81 in frame 3, missed that black going into the reds in frame 4. O'Sullivan made 94, and we restart after the interval, all square.
Very clean shot on the red. Now he wants the cue ball to hold up so he can get onto a colour, and it has. A nice shot, this sort of shot that Luca Brecel knocks in all of the time. Been scooping all the big prizes, see though, Sullivan, hasn't he? All around the world. Not only, of course, 2 Triple Crown events, but in Shanghai, came back to the UK and won
5.
World Grand Prix. He's had an incredible season. So he knows exactly what is required. I think he knows he's going to have to step up on what he's played today if he's going to go and win this against Luca.
6.
I think last night's form might be sufficient because he played beautifully against John Higgins, but earlier on against Judd Trump it wasn't quite like that. In fact, far from it. He got the job done, but helped by Judd's not playing anywhere near his game. Does that red go at the bottom of the bunch? He's looking at it into the same pocket as the black.
Well, so many of the people here, I'm sure, are seeing live snooker for the first time. What a match, what a couple of players they're watching here. Ronnie
14.
O'Sullivan, 48 years of age, remember. On this day in 1983, Ray Reardon won a tournament at the age of 50. The oldest winner of a major event. Surely this man, in a couple of years' time, is going to break that record. Into the reds we go.
Couldn't have played it any better. Because the pink is way above the bunch, but he
19.
thrashed the pink into the reds, and he's on one.
It
was a really good split, you know. I mean, it may not have got a rapturous applause, but that was the kind of split which would go wrong very often.
Yes, I mean, he still plays a young man's game, doesn't he? We saw the average shot times in the interval, they're 15 seconds each so far tonight.
Playing with right-hand side, he wants to be down on the red by the black that's half covering
26.
the black spot. That's the red of choice, just to tidy things up around that part of the table. I'd like to have been a bit straighter on it.
27.
Played it well. But there's quite a bit of work to do here. That bunch of half a dozen reds tightly packed. And that's the problem, you see. The reds were so close up. It didn't leave a lot of room for manoeuvre with the cue ball. I'm not sure he's on one here. Maybe the difficult one to the middle, and it really is difficult from that view we've just seen of it. I mean, this could easily be missed. Well, I mean, it's an incredible shot there. He made it look easy, but it wasn't. I wasn't entirely sure about that, Black, as to whether it was going to drop.
42. $43.
So Brecel was on top at 2-1. He was in frame 4. He missed a black going into the reds. O'Sullivan made 94. The momentum has definitely shifted back to the 7 times world champion.
50.
Looking tonight to win his 79th professional title.
51.
Remember when Steve Davis beat him in the Masters final 97, and it was sort of painted as a win for this veteran, you know, coming back. Almost like the colour of money, you know, coming back from nowhere. Steve was 39. Ronnie's 48.
$57. $64. 65.
So again, in no time at all, we're at frame ball for a 3-2 lead for O'Sullivan. What a masterful break this has been.
It really has, actually. I mean, it just didn't seem like there was that many on when he came to the table. I know we've said that before, but it was a very skillful breaking open of the bunch. And the red to middle, queuing awkwardly, was another gem of a shot.
80.
Well, 98% pot success.
Well, he's raised his game, hasn't he? And he needed to, I think, from what we saw earlier. As the red past the pink, that's the question. Little grimace, he mightn't be on it comfortably, if at all. Maybe it will go off the right jaw. And he's going for the other one instead. You mentioned that's 39 Steve Davis. Of course, we've got 9 players in the top 16, over 40 at the moment. So the game has certainly changed since then.
Yeah, the thing is, at that time, late 90s, so many of the top players were in their 20s. Now,
91.
so many are in the 40s. They're the same people. They're the Ronnies, the Johns, the Mark Williamses. Just an extraordinary record of longevity.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to be an experienced player, but that isn't always enough. You've still got to have the game, the coordination, the technique that you had all those years before.
Here we go then for the century.
100.
O'Sullivan back on top in the final, in style. Look at the faces there. Absolute delight at what they're watching.
$107.
Just flick the yellow. No matter.
Well, I'm glad this final is not a best of 7. I'm glad it's a best of 9 because you're going to be left wanting more, aren't you? Whatever duration it's over.
112.
And best of 9 feels at least a little bit more fitting of such an occasion, such a prize fund, such an audience.
116.
A sigh that he doesn't make the total clearance. 121 will have to do. Ronnie O'Sullivan's 5th century of the tournament. He leads the final 3-2.
Thank you.
Here we go. Frame
6
6 of a possible
Ronnie
9.
O'Sullivan to break.
Yes, and now Luca Brecel has got to do what Ronnie O'Sullivan did. If a mistake does come, and of course O'Sullivan is playing well now, but Luca has got to capitalise. He's got to be ready, switched on for it. A terrific game so far. I think the problem Luca's got is O'Sullivan seems to be playing as well as ever now. He's completely switched on to the job at hand. It's a terrific red. Now he's got into the bunch once already. This time not interested in playing it because there are reds out and he's on one. Of course, at some point he'll have to get into the pack, but not yet.
6. I
think this is the moment, especially with the one red out. You can use that one as a likely next red and split the bunch and see how that goes. And there's an example of how to get the bunch open with a red in play, not wait until there aren't any reds in play.
14.
Just gives you extra options, extra positional options. There's never been a better break builder than this man.
15.
Strange. What has changed in this match is when Luca got to the front, there was a real adrenaline rush that he was
22.
on, and 1 or 2 shots became a little too much for him. Just 1 or 2, but O'Sullivan has just a little bit of calm to proceedings.
23.
He seems as in concentration as I've seen him for a while here.
Nine.
Well, there's the mistake
Ronnie O'Sullivan,
that I was speaking
29.
about that Luca going to have to prey on. I didn't see that one coming. He was looking very good. He looked up at the crowd as if something might have distracted him slightly, but that's just the way it is. It's not an easy starter for Luca, though. Very much in this match, Brecel. He's playing as well as I've seen him since he won the world title. But this is a tough opening red.
Yeah, you could see from the side-on view actually how far this red is away from the pocket. It's foreshortened on that angle. Yeah, and he's missed it. Not easy.
Yes, and he's a good rest player, but he mightn't be one of the very best players in the world, Brecel, using the rest. He's good enough.
One.
Cue ball just trickling into a position behind the blue, which he was looking for when we last saw it. Just short of that. So, again, it's a task to get from colour to red here.
So obviously some movement in his
Can
eye
you
line
please stay
that he's
still?
not happy about.
Thank you.
Giving them a bit of a look.
A bit of a look. That was a very stern look at whoever it was. The only shot he has is to leave this plant, and he's right behind this, so it does make it an easier shot when you're
6.
sort of square onto it like this. Balls have still got a little bit of distance between them, though.
7.
Just getting further and further out of position in this break now. Now, has he got the shot off the blue to run round of 2 cushions and open the bunch? I don't think that shot is there. The green looks to be in the way. So he play the green, perhaps on the bottom red by the black. And if O'Sullivan is struggling to see a shot, there probably isn't a shot that gets him round the table. Back on the blue. I think the problem he's got, if he plays the blue, it looks either in off or that little gap between the green and the cushion. I find it very hard to locate. It's a good shot though, isn't it, on the loose red. There's an angle on his next colour, almost certainly the black, which will be the key to the frame, I would say.
$11.
I don't know if he's straight enough. I don't think he can go into these. Oh, he could only play it really slowly. He wanted to play it with more pace, but he was swung wide, so he just nipped it and got into
8.
them, but not very many reds moved for that reason. this is another shot that's important. Either he plays on the bottom red or he goes blue into the pink and gets the reds open, that the target is not wide. So maybe on the loose red. And already he's chalked up a lead of 53 points.
20.
He's not really been on a ball yet.
25.
Well, that might just be an absolutely
32.
sensational positional shot if he's on that red, because he really didn't have a lot of room. I think that is exactly where he had to finish. It's a beautiful shot he's played there.
33.
Well, the pink will do. It'll be 68 in front, 67 on. We saw him sort of squinting at the scoreboard in the heavens there, but this is the ball that leaves Brecel needing a snooker. Certainly not a conventional break, but he kept it going. His focus. We saw when the
39.
person was in his eye line how annoyed he was. You know, all this stuff about, I'm here to have some fun. He's here to win. Of course he is.
I can think of many a tour player who wouldn't have tried to go into the bunch there in knocking that pink in, because it's a snooker needed, and that might be the one chance of losing the frame. Miss the pink and open the reds. Yeah, you're right. It's been a really difficult break, but this has been a gem of a break, actually, in the context of this match.
So it looks like 4-2, and even though it's only a 2-frame lead, it feels like a long way back for Brecel just because of how well O'Sullivan's playing here. Missed that one, so there's half chance. There's 3 snookers needed, but in fact he's staying in his seat. The match has turned really on that missed black in frame 4, you've got to say, from Brecel. He was 2-1 up at that point, but O'Sullivan now leads 4-2, and he's just 1 away from becoming the first ever winner of the Riyadh season World Masters of Snooker.
Yes, we've not seen the 147 with the 20 points at 167, but you know what? 147s happen when they happen, don't they? There's been 200 in the history of professional snooker, official ones. And there's been a lot of frames in professional snooker, and there will be an instance, if this is an ongoing thing, there will be one, or there'll be certainly the golden ball might come into play. But you can't just dream up these 147s.
Well, the local dignitaries are arriving. I think the promoter is here. Taking their seats to watch the rest of the final.
Thank you. Frame 7. Luca Brecel to break.
So, frame 7 of the final. Luca Brecel trailing 4-2. O'Sullivan 1 away from the title.
Knocking those in, isn't he? He managed to pop one directly after the mid-session interval at 2 each, which to put him on the right track. And of course, with O'Sullivan, there's so many different ways he can win frames. He's a brilliant break builder. He can make difficult breaks, as we've seen in the previous frame. His long game can be good. Might have to pot another long one to keep this alive from here as the golden ball is whisked away from the table. I mean, he is the complete player.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 3.
Because actually, a lot of the safety he learned off of Ray Reardon, perhaps, and at times he can play that as well as anybody. I think with O'Sullivan, you just got to find a way of just being better than him on the day at everything. It's a good shot. He only had one ball to get the snooker behind. That was the yellow, and he's done it.
Foul. Miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Didn't really threaten any of the reds there, and the red to middle is no use to him because the black is not available either. So Brecel will have to make a better fist of this escape. It's awkward because there's 2 or 3 reds away from the bunch. He'd love to roll into the bottom of the pack, but he can't quite get there.
Ronnie, thank you.
So not easy, this. I'm not sure though which red he's trying to hit. The red by the black. It's a dangerous red to be hitting. As it opens the black up. Now the black is available into that right corner. Yeah, that was something of a shot to nothing. It's hard to think how he could have left anything there, except for the way he was playing, and that was always going to drift away from the pocket from that angle. This plant is extremely difficult. So earlier on, if you're straight behind the first red in line with the pocket, they're more manageable as the one O'Sullivan played, but this is a wretched shot to have to play. But he's just looking for a way in because he's not been in for a while. He's looking at another plant now, I think. I just feel there was an element of desperation about that, and so many reds moved. He was desperate to find a way in, and it didn't really look on, I have to say.
Well, Luca Brecel is going to sit down. The question is, does he get back up again while the final's live? He rolled the dice, it didn't work.
It's kind of how he plays, though, isn't it? And you can't really criticise him because he dazzled us at the World Championships, but it did seem a bit an unlikely pot, and every red seemed to move, and they've all gone into open spaces. There's a pretty special atmosphere in here tonight. He's actually finished in a slightly awkward place to get onto his next red because he's straight on this green with the extension. I don't think the 2 reds in bulk are very potable. He may have to play a deep screw with all this equipment on the cue down towards all the action at this end. It's not that easy a shot. You're in the sort of miscue territory here if you're not careful. really a shot to associate with O'Sullivan. It must be on something, surely.
He got so much action into the cue ball, didn't he? He was a long way from the cue ball where he played the shot.
4.
Well, you've got a view that he's on the red to middle. He doesn't really like the shot very much, so he's playing this red through the gap.
5.
Well, he's got the most amazing chance to get the match won here, because his eyes must have lit up when Luca played the shot he did. Just look at this table.
Chance to break yet more new ground. First winner of a tournament in Saudi Arabia. He would set a record for most prize money in a single season.
It's hard to think how he could have had a
11.
better season, Dave, isn't it, when you think about it? Not least Shanghai Masters, which he seems to own that event. He wins it every year. World Grand Prix, which is a terrific event, but the first two majors, he's won those as well, so this would be the icing on the cake.
18.
He's actually managed things superbly, hasn't he, in terms of his schedule?
19.
He's battled at times this season when his form hasn't been there, and then when it comes out, as we saw against John Higgins last night, we've seen it tonight, he's still the best. Simple as that.
Yes, it's his best ever season coming into the World Championships anyway.
26.
Has to be. And it might just be getting better in the next few minutes.
$27. 34.
There's enough in the middle of the table here not to worry about any reds up at the other end of the table, which are tied up a bit. That becomes Brecel's problem, not O'Sullivan's.
$35.
Oh, that's just a slight error, finishing low. I'm not suggesting we missed this, but he wasn't meant to finish there. No problem at all. Beautiful touch on the red.
42. 43.
Well, at 2-1 down, he was put under a lot of pressure. Luca Brecel had Ronnie O'Sullivan on the ropes, but he's
50.
played 4 exceptional frames from that point onwards.
51.
Yeah, he really has. Once again, he's risen to the occasion, and it's some occasion here in Riyadh. Big money tournament in a new destination for snooker, but a very familiar winner.
58.
Assuming he
59.
closes this out now, and he just needs this pink to do exactly that. He might not have potted the golden ball, but he's produced some golden form this season. And it looks like title number 5 in the campaign for Ronnie O'Sullivan.
65. 66. 73. 74. 88. 81.
Well, he'll do well to make the century. I don't suppose it means that much to him, but he would quite like to put on a show at the end of this match. That was not his blade, but it doesn't make any difference. He's been just demonstrating why he's the greatest of all time here this week, and he still holds a position at the top of the rankings. And he's probably still the very best player in the world right now. It's hard to think that he couldn't be, given what he's been doing this season. Sensational.
92.
And this is just a further example of it, this evening's final.
93.
Set for a grandstand finish with another century. He would have won in this tournament 13 frames and made 6 century breaks.
97.
Luca Brecel has shown some great form this week, but this man right now too hot to handle. The green to finish with a century. There's the cheer from the crowd, who have loved this display. I'm sure many would like to have seen it go closer, but
106.
It's been the story of the season in many ways. When Ronnie O'Sullivan turns up, he's ready to win. And he's won another one, a big one here in Riyadh.
111.
Great way to finish.
Yes, a grandstand finish. Ronnie O'Sullivan wins the first staging of the Riyadh season World Masters of Snooker with a dazzling display. Luca Brecel, Mr. Black, leading 2-1, and O'Sullivan did the rest. 2 centuries in the final. It's Brecel leading the applause. They're on their feet here in Saudi Arabia as snooker breaks new ground. It's a very familiar winner, Ronnie O'Sullivan, with his 79th professional title and a first prize of £250,000.